Ghost Gums near Alice Springs. And soon we reach Heavy Tree Gap, gateway to the north. Below is the panorama of Alice Springs, known affectionately as the Alice. The town is the hub of the continent, a real frontier town. The town's wide streets are flanked with flowering trees. Shops are modern, and there is in fact everything in the town to make it an ideal spot for the visiting tourist. The town's post office is a modern building, very suited to the climate. And many private homes are of modern and attractive design, and they fit well into this subtropical setting. From the Alice, we intend making 3 journeys. The first to a Baptist mission station at Yuendumu, the second to Palm Valley, and the third to Stanley Chasm. So back to the Red Track, which is the main road to Darwin. It is 160 miles from the Alice to the native settlement, and now the track becomes very rough for the latter part of the journey. The Land Rover is going like a bomb. The Land Rover is the English peacetime version of the wartime Jeep. It's behaving wonderfully, and nothing has stopped us so far. 4-wheel drive is a godsend in this part of the world. The car is taking the rough going without any signs of stress to engine or body. There is no doubt that it is the answer to the problems facing personal transport in the Australian outback. The Aboriginal women with the goats are the first natives we encounter as we approach the mission. The encroachment man with his cattle stations has completely broken up the tribal life of the Aborigines. The missions of the centre are doing their best to save the remnants of the once great tribes, and with a great deal of success here, where the women in particular are being taught to live useful lives under difficult conditions. They are taught the rudiments of baby health, and there is no doubt about the quality of these sturdy young additions to the native community. The women are fully occupied in caring for their babies, but it's more difficult for the men of the settlement to occupy their time. They spend much of their time making and throwing the hunting type of boomerang used to kill kangaroo and other game. It is a type of weapon designed purely for accurate killing and does not return when thrown. The natives here, in fact, cannot make a boomerang which will return. But all the natives of the centre can make fire and the implements used to produce it by friction. 2 natives usually cooperate to make fire, and it is one of the fastest processes of native fire making ever to be seen. Tinder dry grass starts to smoulder, and with a little gentle blowing, it soon springs into a vigorous flame. Soon we're on the move again. We must travel several hundred miles to reach the Valley of the Palms, which lies over 100 miles west of Alice Springs. Nita, the geologist of the party, is intrigued by the shapes and patterns of water-worn sandstone pebbles in a dry watercourse. It is difficult to believe that this land was once the floor of a prehistoric ocean. We set up camp again. We've now become quite expert at this, and we eat our meal assisted by the persistent flies which constantly plague all living creatures in the inland. They are by far the greatest irritation we've had to put up with so far on this trip. Time to move off again, and we have some heavy patches of sand to negotiate. And leaving the trailer behind, we feel quite confident that our four-wheel drive will take us through anything. Our arrival at Palm Valley disturbs the goannas, which are a fitting type of denizen for this out-of-the-way pocket of nature. This is a corner of prehistoric Australia which time has bypassed. The palms are of a species found nowhere else on Earth. They flourished millions of years ago, long before the arrival of man upon the planet. The flora of this region is all unusual, and the valley is a wonderland for the botanist. One almost expects to see a Dinosaurus or those other fabulous reptilian creatures of a bygone age. The goannas, the modern hangovers of the earlier reptilian age, abound in the valley and set off the impression of a prehistoric wilderness. The eroded sandstone walls of the valley have been etched by the elements into a myriad queer shapes and forms. One type of palm grows in almost pure sandstone on these walls. We are reluctant to leave Palm Valley, but we have another appointment with one more of nature's wonders. Stanley Chasm in the MacDonnell Ranges is just 35 miles from Alice Springs. The going is rough through the foothills, but still no trouble at all with the trusty Land Rover. Stanley Chasm is a towering split in the barrier formed by the MacDonnell Ranges. The split is only a few feet wide and towers cathedral-like 200 feet up through the rock. A majestic sight, and one to make a mere human feel very insignificant. This is truly a fitting ending to a wonderful journey, one which we will never be likely to forget.